The film begins with Sunny and Larissa arguing with each other. Sunny is angry because Larissa got close to her husband, since Sunny loves her and they are having an affair. Larissa tells him that this is her husband and that she has to act that way with him or he would become suspicious. Then the story goes back in time, and we see Sunny traveling to a big city in search of work. He goes to a car repair shop and applies for a mechanic's job, but he arrives late for the interview and is shocked to learn that the position has already been given to someone else. He becomes sad because he doesn't even have a place to sleep and doesn't have money to stay in a hotel for the night. He looks for any other job in the city, but unfortunately finds nothing. In the end, he decides to spend the night sleeping on a chair in the street, still hoping that the next day he will find a solution to his problems and a suitable place to live. At that time, an elderly man named George is heading toward his car when he suddenly feels that someone is walking behind him. A thief is following him. As soon as George reaches the car, the thief attacks him in an attempt to steal it. George tries to defend himself, but the thief is stronger and manages to overpower him, all while Sunny is watching from a distance as he sits on the chair. When Sunny realizes that the fight has escalated, he intervenes to save the old man, rushes over to help George, and hits the thief, who then runs away in fear. George thanks Sunny for saving his life, and at that moment a police officer arrives at the scene. George explains what happened, and during the conversation his wife Larissa comes to check on him. It is revealed that she is a beautiful woman, more than 30 years younger than George. George tells her that he would have died if it weren't for Sunny, so Larissa greets Sunny and thanks him, and George decides to invite him to dinner at his house. During dinner, George asks Sunny about his life, and Sunny tells him that he has no family, that he grew up in an orphanage, and that he is a mechanic who came to work at a shop but lost the job opportunity. George tells him that he also owns a car repair shop and is looking for a mechanic to help him, and he offers Sunny a job with a good salary as well as a room to live in. Sunny is extremely happy because his problems are suddenly solved, and he agrees to everything George says without hesitation. After that, we see Sunny asleep on his bed in his room, while Larissa appears unhappy about his presence. She blames her husband George for hiring a homeless man he knows nothing about and letting him live in the same house with them. George tells her that Sunny saved his life and that he wants to help him in return. Sunny overhears their conversation and feels very sad, wondering whether he made a mistake by accepting the offer, but he pushes those thoughts out of his head and falls asleep. The next day Sunny starts working in the shop to prove to George that he is skilled. George is impressed by his style and his way of working, shows him the jobs he hasn't been able to finish on his own lately, and also shows him a very special car to him, explaining that he is preparing it as a gift for his wife Larissa and that he has been working on it for some time but hasn't completed it yet. Sunny promises to start fixing it and finish it soon. Time passes and Sunny works hard and energetically, the condition of the shop improves, and George becomes very happy with what is happening. Meanwhile, Sunny notices that Larissa keeps watching him all the time without showing any reaction toward him, so he can't tell whether she is happy about his presence or not. Suddenly George sees Larissa looking at Sunny and assumes that she is still worried about him, so he reassures her and tells her that Sunny is a good young man who will be useful to them at work. After that, Sunny begins smiling at her whenever she looks at him, but she ignores him and walks away. At night, Sunny notices her watching him from her bedroom window, and he begins to suspect that she is attracted to him. One day Sunny stares at Larissa, and she gets angry, goes up to him, and asks why he keeps looking at her, threatening that if she notices it again she will fire him from the job. Sunny tells her that he doesn't want to leave the job, but as long as he is here he won't stop looking at her because she is very beautiful. He asks her why a woman as beautiful as she is would marry an old man like George. Larissa scolds him for speaking badly about George, especially since George loves him and treats him well. Sunny replies that he loves George too, but he wasn't wrong when he said she was beautiful because she truly is. He tells her that he admires her and seems to love her, then surprises her by saying that she is also attracted to him but is trying to hide her feelings. Larissa stays silent, doesn't answer him, and walks away. At dinner time, Sunny and Larissa exchange glances without George noticing, and it becomes clear that she is indeed attracted to him. After dinner, George asks Sunny to bring some glasses from the kitchen so they can drink together. When Sunny goes inside, he approaches Larissa, and she weakens in front of him and can't resist, but George interrupts them and calls out to Sunny to hurry up. Late at night, both Sunny and Larissa think about each other. Suddenly an idea comes into Sunny's head and he begins to carry it out by searching online for spare parts missing from the shop. The next day he tells George that he found a store selling those parts, so George takes the car and goes to buy them, and it turns out that this was Sunny's plan to get him away from the house. As soon as George leaves, Larissa comes and asks Sonny where George went, and he tells her that he went to buy spare parts and that they have 4 hours before he returns. The two grow close and share a romantic moment. Shortly afterward, George comes back with the spare parts and hands them to Sonny, and they start working on the car until it is repaired. George is happy that the car is running again, takes it for a test drive, and then returns with it after a while. Larissa is surprised when he gives her the car keys and tells her it is a gift from him. She is extremely happy and can't believe it, gets into the car with him, and they drive around for a bit. That night George invites Sonny for a celebratory drink because of fixing the car. George drinks heavily until he gets drunk and falls asleep on the couch, and Sonny finds the opportunity to approach Larissa again. He goes up to her room and they spend the night together. Larissa tells him the reason she married George. She says she was lonely and poor and worked any job she could to support herself until she met George, who loved her and decided to marry her. She admits that she is unhappy in her life with him. Sonny is shocked when she tells him that from the very first moment he arrived she was attracted to him and feels that she should be with him and not with George, and at that moment Sonny can hardly believe his happiness. The next day, George takes Sonny to show him a piece of land he owns and tells him that a highway will be built in the coming days, which will cause the value of the land to double. He explains that he wants to establish a major project there. George's idea is to build a car racing track on the land, so he plans to take out a bank loan using the property as collateral to begin carrying out his project. Sonny is surprised when George tells him that he will be the manager of this project. Sonny goes to Larissa and tells her everything that happened. She is very happy about the news, but she has a problem. She can no longer live with George and feels that her life with him is a waste of time. At the same time, she wants to take control of his fortune while also living her life with Sonny, so she tells him that this is their chance to get rid of George. After that, all the wealth will belong to them, and they will live together and enjoy all that money. But Sonny is not convinced by her words and refuses to harm George in any way. When night falls, Larissa deliberately grows close to George in front of Sonny to make him jealous and push him to get rid of him. At that moment, the story returns to the opening scene, where Larissa tells Sonny that if he truly loves her, he must get rid of George, and that he needs to come up with a plan that will make everything look like an accident so that no one will suspect them. The next day, Sonny sets a trap in the workshop to kill George and brings Larissa with him to witness what will happen. He connects a tractor to the crane in the workshop so that when the crane is lowered, the tractor will fall on George and kill him. Larissa tells Sonny that she will be the one to lower the crane, because he will be with George under the tractor and will give her the signal to lower it without George noticing. He explains that if they kill him this way, it will look like an accident and no one will suspect them. After everything is prepared, they decide to carry out the plan quickly. The following day, Sonny tells George that there is a problem with the tractor that he cannot fix, so George comes and the two of them sit beneath it to repair it. At that moment, Larissa enters the workshop without George noticing and heads to the crane, waiting for Sonny's signal. As soon as she lowers the crane, the tractor immediately falls on George and kills him on the spot. The problem is that Sonny's hand gets trapped under the tractor, so he tells Larissa to leave quickly before anyone sees her and asks her to get rid of her shoe because it has blood on it. Larissa does what he says. She goes to change her shoes and wash the blood off her feet, finds an old pair of shoes, puts them on, then takes her car and leaves the place quickly. After that, she throws her shoe on the road to get rid of it and rushes to the supermarket to create an alibi showing that she was not present at the time of the accident. Meanwhile, Sonny calls the police and reports what happened. Larissa receives a call from the police informing her of her husband's death, so she rushes back home. There she meets investigator Ford, who is in charge of the case. She pretends to collapse in front of him and keeps crying over her husband's death. The police begin investigating the incident under Ford's lead, and he speaks with his colleague, telling her that he suspects Sonny and Larissa. He says that when he met Larissa she was wearing old shoes that did not match the dress she had on, in addition to the fact that she is young and beautiful and would benefit the most from George's death because she would inherit all his money. As for Sonny, he is a young man at the scene with a beautiful woman married to an old man, so it is natural that there would be something between them. Ford guesses that Sonny and Larissa staged George's death to get rid of him and enjoy his wealth, so he decides to move quickly with the investigation. The first thing he does is search for Larissa's missing shoe, but Sonny gets to it first and burns it so that it leaves no evidence. After George's funeral, Sonny and Larissa begin living together and carrying out the project, while investigator Ford continues to monitor all their movements, convinced that they are behind George's death but waiting to find strong evidence against them. One day Larissa tells Sonny that she is pregnant. He is overjoyed, and they start planning their child's future. But the next day Ford goes to Sonny's workshop and asks him about his relationship with Larissa, George's wife, and tells him that forensic evidence proved that the tractor fell on George twice, meaning that someone deliberately lowered the crane arm. At this point Sonny remembers the details of the night of the incident. The first time Larissa lowered the crane, the tractor fell on George's body rather than his head, so Sonny asked her to raise the chain again. He then grabbed George and adjusted the position of his body so that the tractor would fall directly on his head. At that moment George was still alive and begged Sonny not to kill him, but Sonny ignored his pleas and shouted at Larissa to lower the crane a second time, and the tractor fell on his head and killed him. Sonny comes back from his memories and tells Ford that he has no information that would help him and that he already said everything in his statement during the investigation. Sonny is confident that Ford has no proof against him or Larissa. After that, however, Larissa begins distancing herself from Sonny to deflect suspicion because she knows the house is under surveillance. When he blames her for pulling away, she tells him that she is afraid for her child and does not want to go to prison, and she assures him that Ford will keep chasing them and will not leave them alone. Sonny then decides to sacrifice himself and take full responsibility for the crime to protect Larissa and their child. He goes to the police station and confesses that he planned George's murder and that he did it out of desire for his wife and for the money she would inherit. At the same time, Larissa finds a message from Sonny telling her that he turned himself into the police, declaring his love for her and asking her to take care of herself and their child. Strangely, she does not seem sad about him. Years pass, and we see Sonny in prison awaiting his execution date, while Larissa returns to living her life normally and continues carrying out George's project until it succeeds and becomes operational. Throughout all those years she sends Sonny letters containing photos of his child growing year after year, and Sonny is very happy when he sees them and feels that he did the right thing by turning himself in to protect Larissa and the child. But he does not know that the child is not his at all, because Larissa was never pregnant by him, and that the photos she sent were actually pictures of her secretary's son. Everything that happened was part of Larissa's plan to make Sonny take the blame alone. In truth, she never loved him, she only used him to get rid of George. She had planned all of this with her lover, the thief who attacked George at the beginning of the film, having agreed with him to kill George, but Sonny's intervention ruined the plan, so Larissa changed her strategy and shifted everything onto Sonny. We also noticed that she treated her lover coldly, pulling away whenever he got close, and it was clear that she intended to get rid of him from the start, but Sonny's appearance disrupted her arrangements. In the end it becomes clear that Larissa never loved George, Sonny, or even the thief she had known for a long time. In the final scene, we see Sonny being led to his execution, while Larissa lives her life like a queen after achieving all her dreams, and the film ends.